I'm now going to open up the floor to student questions. So if you have any questions, you can come on up. Minimum of one, just one. Yes, please turn that on. Thank you. Give it a second. Now go.
Hello. Well, good enough. Is it getting anything? That's good. Okay, great. Hey guys. So my question is about re-recognition. This is for both candidates. What is the purpose of re-recognition? Why does COSO do it every year? Is it useful? Would you change anything about it? Should I clarify what re-recognition is for anybody who doesn't know? Or? Never mind. I'll let you go.
So we'll start with Will.
Sure. As I've mentioned in my platform, under increasing COSO efficiency, if you haven't checked that out already, I have plans for re-recognition. Re-recognition is done currently every year for young organizations, which are organizations that are fewer than 6 years old, and once every 3 years for mature organizations, which are grouped by similarity. So re-recognition should be important for both COSO as well as organization leaders, because COSO as a body needs to find out how organizations are doing, if they're still living for their mission statements, still being active, and still contributing to the community. And if not, then if, for example, an organization is struggling, maybe with leadership or maybe with some other problem, then COSO needs to be there to help them. We need to figure out what these organizations are having trouble with and connect them with either the right people or give them the right information or just fix the problem ourselves. Which is why I want COSO representatives to be able to actually meet one-on-one with organization leaders. Because as a JFC rep this year, I was assigned 12 organizations, and I met with them all 2 or 3 times, sometimes even 4 times throughout the course of the year, in order to find out their budgeting needs, what events they were having, what problems they were having. And I thought to myself, like, why am I doing this in JFC when, I mean, I know more about these reps by being in JFC than being in COSO, which is kind of a little odd. So I figured this knowledge should definitely be known to COSO. We should really need to intimately understand these organizations, and like a Google spreadsheet is simply not enough for everyone. So it's definitely feasible with this many COSO reps, and now that the mature organizations are divided into 3 parts, this means only a few organizations, like 10 organizations per representative. And this is definitely doable in the spring semester even.
Thank you.
All right, without meaning to sound repetitive, I think Will already defined what re-recognition is. One of the problems that I've had come up with student organization leaders is that, especially during the re-recognition process, not so much during new recognition, because then meeting one-on-one with FaceTime, etc., is more essential. But with re-recognition, there has been less sort of time devoted to an organization from the COSO rep, and at the risk of sounding extremely repetitive, it's very, very important for COSO reps to meet with their organizations, to get to know their organizations, for organization leaders to be comfortable with their COSO reps. And the only way that this is going to happen is with constant communication. Re-recognition should not be a time for punitive action for COSO. That's not what the purpose is. It should really be about COSO finding out if student organization leaders and their organization's needs are being met by student activities and by COSO and the student body vice president for organizations. And I think this time is a very important time for for COSO to get in touch with mature and young organizations and find out these things. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi guys. So in the past, COSO has struggled with problems with new organizations that want to be recognized, despite the fact that their missions are very similar to existing organizations on campus. How would you deal with organizations like that? Would you recognize them? Would you suggest they integrate with the existing organizations?
All right, so the problem with new recognition is that COSO's bylaws state that organizations should be recognized if they bring something unique, i.e. if their mission statement is something that isn't already being met by another organization. And Kendra brought up an interesting point that was actually discussed by Aaron last year in this forum. I believe that student organizations, well, new organizations should be recognized. COSO should do everything that they can to make sure that their constitution is drafted, etc. Give them all the help that they need, and let an organization find out whether they can be a success or a failure all on their own. I think COSO should recognize new organizations as long as there is not a complete overlap with another organization's mission statement.
So I am a realist, and we currently do have over 250 student organizations with very limited space and very limited resources. We don't want three organizations with very similar things, because let's be honest, we don't have infinite resources. However, new organizations who truly do something that is worthwhile and does not currently have a niche to fill, that do not currently have niches to fill, really should be recognized, and they should be recognized rapidly. So, for example, if an organization simply does the same thing or a very similar thing with an existing organization, but just doesn't know it, then COSO should be able to effectively connect people from these organizations together so that they can cooperate and really have that chance to build off each other. And if an organization, is similar to another organization, but they do things differently, have different types of people, bring different types of events to campus, then it's really a case-by-case decision, and I don't think you can generalize this. But I do want to, give opportunities to everyone to be able to be in organizations and be a part of organizations that they truly have passion for. But I do have to be a realist.
Thank you. Next question.
So Varun, you spoke about starting the COSO reps in the summer by training them then, but since they have to be approved by Senate and GSA, how do you plan on training them before this approval process can really begin?
Well, that's an interesting point, Ben. To be honest, I hadn't factored that. I'll be very honest, I hadn't factored that into my thought process in this, but a way of getting around that would be to create a pool of possible candidates that I would create before the summer starts and have them all undergo the training process, and then at the end of the summer, after Senate and GSA have ratified them, go on with the one-on-one training that I discussed.
Next question. This will be our last question. Okay, second to last. Third.
So in both of your platforms, you're talking about basically giving additional work to COSO members. How do you plan to keep existing COSO members and allow new students to join and entice new students to join when you're giving them more work?
We're beginning with Will.
So we've definitely been very lucky to have a lot of active freshmen on our committee this year, and they have a lot of energy, they have a lot of excitement, and I'm really glad that they bring a new aspect to the table. So COSO representatives should be people who understand organizations and who understand student government, but we would also like them to have enough time to dedicate to COSO, which is why when I'm having representatives apply, I would like to know their schedules, know their availability, and especially know when they can meet. Although that seems kind of like a small detail, a lot of the times we were trying to coordinate meetings this semester, we just couldn't. It's really difficult to coordinate a meeting between like 15 people. So I would definitely take that into account. As far as the additional workload, I don't think it would be really that much more, because each representative would have to meet with their assigned re-recognition organizations, which right now would be somewhere around 10. Half-hour meeting with 10 organizations once in a year, that's only 5 hours in an entire year. So I really hope that there'd be enough people on campus that would be willing to take an additional 5 hours in a year to make this possible?
I think, I think Will put this very intelligently, is that basically my idea is not to add on to COSO reps' burden, as in their workload, but basically the things I'm proposing would actually make COSO representatives more efficient as COSO representatives. All I'm proposing is constant communication, formalized replies to emails within 48 hours, even if it's just to drop them a line saying, hey, listen, we're working on your organization's problem. Unfortunately, we've stumbled into a roadblock, and that could be transparent. We could say, we've stumbled into this roadblock, which would, of course, add to the comfort that student organizations have with their COSO representatives. In addition, I'm also requiring that COSO representatives meet with their organizations twice per semester, and without doing the math, I think that's not too much. Thanks.
Thank you. Guys, in the interest of time, can you either combine it or pick one?
So I have a question specifically for Varun. Given that Will has experience on both the JFC and COSO already and that you don't, why do you think you're a better candidate than him for this position?
Well, it's true that I will agree that Will has more experience than I do, especially on JFC and on COSO. I think I'm a better candidate than him because, well, my initiatives take into account this is a terrible thing to say, but my initiatives take into account one thing that his don't, which is space management, which I think is one of the most crucial issues that is coming up for student organizations and the student body vice president for organizations in the short term and in the long term. Aaron's done some great work in working with the director of student activities and with the hub in looking into current inefficiencies that that student organizations have to deal with in reserving space, etc. As well as there's currently no formalized communication with the master plan and the campus design review committee, etc. But I do have good relationships with people in these offices, and I believe that I can advocate for student organizations to have more space in the campus master plan in the future, etc. So I really do think that with the limited amount of space on campus, while there is only so much you can do creatively with so much space, I think in order to eliminate efficiencies, there needs to be a formalized structure and an initiative that is in place to deal with this issue, which is a crucial one. That's why I believe that my platform makes me a better candidate. Thanks.
All right, thank you guys.